everybody to make it over here for our next show. What is this? 0102. It is here. Boy. And we're just chugging away. So, we've had some updates.
I think we did. Yeah, let's identify ourselves.
Okay. Let's see. This gentleman, this distinguished gentleman over here you see before me, this is...
I am Mark.
And I am...
This very affable, pleasant guy is...
Elmer.
And we are Mark and Elmer's PSI. PLC Investigations.
Yes.
Our boys are back here with us this week. This is Greenbook and Eager and their pet Tuki. Say hi, guys. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Okay. Before we start, I want to give a pitch to our buddies here, our comrades at the Corey Company who make this wonderful piano polish. Still got those fingerprints on the piano and can't get rid of them? Well, for shame. This should have been your New Year's resolution. Get some of this stuff and make that piano shine. Okay, folks? All right. And no, I'm not getting paid for this. Okay.
Excuse me, I'm having late breakfast. I had a physical therapy appointment earlier and I had some yogurt, but I'm going to eat my peanut butter right now.
Oh, very good. So,
what's up?
What's up? Oh, well, for today, I dove into very unexplored territory. You know, I've tried my hand at playing contemporary music like Copeland. I've tried some Barber. I've done some. I mean, that's about as late as I get. I mean, as far as
one might not call that contemporary music.
Not anymore. Not as 21st century.
Not even Steve Reich.
Yeah, not even Steve Reich. Yeah, no kidding. So, anyways, okay, we're dealing with 21st century music.
So you tried something?
Yeah, I brought in something. Okay, so, folks, for all you viewers, old and new, you know us. We're always looking for brand new stuff, and we find it at the most unexpected places.
Or old stuff, which is new to us.
Yes. So, our first segment for the day, let me introduce PSI, All Pieces Considered.
Woo! Here we go, guys.
Are we here? Oh, we are here. Well, welcome to PSI, All Pieces Considered.
Hey, Uncle Elmer, we just want to tell you how much we missed you.
Oh, we missed you too, guys. So, you've dealt with contemporary composers piano-wise much? I mean,
one of my doctoral recitals, which is really good.
Yeah.
I did a kind of a chronological overview of the works for solo piano, John Cage, for example.
John Cage.
My teacher Ellsworth was a friend of his, and
right.
1/5 of Cage is dedicated to Ellsworth. I played that on the program.
Wow.
I think, and I played other things, especially in chamber music. Some very newer kinds of things. Yeah.
Wow.
Songs and chamber music.
Okay, well, anyways, I mean, I think actually, I shouldn't say that. The latest music I've actually played was an album called Con Intimisa, or something like that.
But
it's Italian. But it was an album of pieces that were much more accessible by a composer we all know, Marc Hamlet.
No way.
Yes. I think I might have brought it over in one of our earlier episodes that didn't come out.
Oh.
We'll revisit it again. But they're far more accessible.
I mean, the performances are by him, or it's his music?
It's his music. I have the score. I went and got it over at Stanton Street music.
He gave it an Italian title?
He gave it an Italian title. And like I said, it's short works in it. There's a waltz in it. Most of it was sort of a A-B form or ABA form, and like I said, very accessible.
So they are accessible. So you don't have to be Marc-Andre Hamelin.
No, you don't have to be.
To play it.
Yeah, you don't have to be a Superman to play it. Okay, it even came with a CD, so that's kind of cool.
Who's playing it?
And he's playing it. Yes, it's him playing. So it's very good. But anyways, as much as I love Marc-Andre Hamelin, we are not here for All Pieces Considered to talk about him. I bring to you a Piano Sonata No. 2 by a much less known composer, and should be heard more. A Richard Wernick.
I know that name.
You've heard of him?
Wernick, yeah. I've heard of him.
Okay.
I think he wrote chamber music too.
Yes, he did.
I think I played some of his.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's impressive. Why didn't you say something?
Didn't remember it till now. I mean, there's different names coming back in of things I played. Cool experiences I had.
Okay, well, Richard Wernick, born January 16th, 1934, and according to sources, he's still alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's American?
He's American. He's from Boston. He's a Boston composer. He is best known for, like you said, chamber music. But he's also known for vocal music. So the vocal work, Visions of Terror and Wonder, won him the Pulitzer Prize 1977 for music.
So he's a real composer.
Oh yeah, so he is legit. Began piano studies at 11 years old and was introduced to Irving Fine at Harvard University. He has also studied with Harold Shapiro, Arthur Berger, and renowned Leonard Bernstein.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, no kidding. So now his roster here, he was a faculty member in composition at the SUNY, Southern University of New York in Buffalo from 64 to 65, University of Michigan or University of Chicago from 65 to 68. I guess he just bounced around quite a bit. He finally found his place at University of Pennsylvania. He was there from 68 to 1996.
That's an important school.
Yeah. So let's see. In 1983, Riccardo Muti chose him as his consultant for looking for new American music to perform with the Philadelphia Orchestra in 1993.
Yeah.
Wow. At least to 1993. So 83 to 93. So, anyways.
I'll be putting pictures up.
Okay, good. So we all know. Hopefully you'll be able to find a picture of him.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, anyways, composition style. I guess the best way to describe this is to read you a quote of his. He says, "My expectation is that I'm not writing down to an audience, but I'm not trying to write above their heads. I'm not writing to an audience which is illiterate, and I'm not writing to an audience which is I'm not writing to an audience which is technically educated in music. But I do write for an audience that I assume has experience in listening to music and is willing to at least meet me halfway. So I'll go halfway to meet them." That's what he says. So, as I said, it's a Piano Sonata No. 2. So there is another Piano Sonata. Oh, you want to see it? Okay.
Go ahead.
So there was another Piano Sonata that was composed back in 1946. It was a work called Reflections of a Dark Light.
You brought this in, but we didn't get a chance to look at it.
You didn't get the chance to look
Yeah,
at
I
it.
remember looking at the music. It's a multi-movement.
Oh, yeah.
And it's interesting because each one of them is kind of based on a different musical structure.
Yeah. Yeah, it sure is. Okay, now, the Piano Sonata No. 2 was actually composed in 2002.
Wow.
Well, at least published in 2002. Let's see. It was recorded, composed for a pianist named Lambert Orkis.
He's
Orkis.
the big collaborator with Anna Sophie Mutter, the German violinist.
Oh.
They recorded all the Beethoven violin sonatas together, and they're wonderful. Of course, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
He also, he plays both contemporary modern piano, but he also has done a lot of performance and recording on the forte piano, different historic instruments. I have him, not with Anna Sophie Mutter, I don't think, but with some singers, actually, in German singers, I think in Austria or Germany, doing like Schubert or something, and he's playing the forte piano. This Lambert Orkis. He's really quite an amazing musician.
Oh, well, to play that.
This is, you look at this, people. Yeah. This is a seriously advanced work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't I know it? So, anyways, Lambert Orkis recorded it under the Bridge Records label, serial number 9131, back in 2008. Now, what can you say about this work? Well, I tried to play through it, folks, and I couldn't get through it. Okay, I'll just be honest with you. It's a very difficult work. To say the least. Like I said, it's unexplored territory for me. So at best, as far as an analysis or an opinion about this, I'll give it my best speculations about the work. Okay, now, at first look, I noticed that the work is not separated, not necessarily part of the common practice as far as piano sonatas go. The work is divided in parts. So there is a part 1, a part 2, and a part 3. Part 1 is divided in 3 movements, I guess. 3 movements. First movement is called the Entrada, which is in the form of a march. The second movement is Arioso Triste, which is in the form of a canon. The third movement is a toccata in the form of an etude.
Yeah, it's serious.
Okay. Now, part 2 is actually the centerpiece of this work. Part 2 is a fantasy variations. That alone takes up, it's the largest part of the whole piece. Part 2, the piano variations. Now, interestingly enough, part 3 is actually, almost the same as part 1. Look what it is here. It says part 3 is also in 3 movements. And the toccata is the first movement. The second movement is the Arioso Triste. And the third movement is the march. So, I can only speculate that it has something to do with, form, organized form of the work. Now, as far as performance practice, okay, I would imagine he probably composed it this way so that each part 1, 2, and 3, can be performed independently, which it has been. Okay, it has been recorded. There's only 2 pianists on YouTube that actually performed this work, and one of them is Lambert Orkis, of course. Okay, but he's what he managed to do was perform movements from the work. But there is another pianist on there, a young lady that performed at least one of the movements from part 1 or part 3, depends on what you look at. Now, interestingly enough, the whole entire work is actually performed uninterrupted, without pauses. Okay. However, there are recognizable digressions as to where the piece ends. Now, when I said that part 3 is almost exactly similar to part 1, since it's backwards, okay, the movements are now backwards. You know, instead of the entrada, arioso, and toccata, it's the toccata, arioso, and march. The transitional material is much different in the third movement than it is in the third part, part 3, than it is in part 1. Also, even though the material is similar, he does do some different things with the part 3. There's about 20 or so measures in part 3 that are sort of where passages are modified differently. The chords are different, even though they're in the same places in part 1. I think the purpose of those chords serve a completely different purpose. Maybe making the climaxes more subdued, or even, more emphatic in some points. Let's see. Now, a word or two about the entrada. Like I said, it's in the form of a march. The material, well, okay. You look at the first part, and it's a march, yeah, but I think it's going to be left up to the interpreter, of the performer of the work, what kind of march it is, okay? Because I'll just tell you this, it's definitely not a funeral march. It could be a processional march. It could be, I doubt it's a marching parade, or what is it called? Parade band or marching band parade type march. I doubt it's a military march, but however, it could be like a sort of one of the slower paced Russian marches. I don't know if you've seen Russian military march before, but the way they march at one of those parades.
Two-steppy, but slow.
Yeah, it's a little bit slower than what you would expect, like the American military march. It's a little bit slower, but nevertheless, it's definitely a march. Now, what else I noticed is about the work is it's heavily depended on lots of counterpoint. Okay, it really is that. Some passages look different from the others. Let me show you what I mean here. For instance, in the first entrada, the main theme is actually introduced, boom, right on the first measure. You get into, let's see, a passage like measure 13, and it's the left hand. Well, let me show it to you. You have this at measure 13. I hope I'm not going to get struck for this, showing music.
No.
All right.
We're not performing.
Measure 13. Okay, right there. Okay, it looks like.
Don't show it too close.
Basically, okay, I'll bring it back some right here. Okay, so anyways, you have this running staccato 16th notes on the left hand, and on the right hand you have little tidbits of the opening motif, sort of a dotted rhythm thing. But then you go down 1, 2, 3 measures down, and you have these octaves here on the left hand, and this thing in octaves on the right hand. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what it was about it until you looked much closer. It's actually the same phrase as it was 3 measures ago, except in octaves. And the rhythmic thing over here, which is slightly modified to give it more, more of a rhythmic thrust, towards this next section where it seems to become a little bit more subdued. Now, as far as the sound goes, now, mind you, like I said, I'm just making speculations here. This is not, I wouldn't consider this serialistic.
No.
It's not I don't consider it serialistic. Maybe closer related to octotonic structures, maybe closer to that. Simply because, well, how did we define it before? It was octotonic structures is scales and harmonies based on scales that alternates between half steps and whole steps, which you see here in some places. You actually do. Now, if we move on, the second movement to that part one, Arioso Triste, sad aria, I guess. Mm-hmm. It says here in the form of a canon. Oh boy. Now, as far as a canon is considered here, it's not a canon of how we know it in common practice, okay? If it's in the form, if there's portions of it where it is almost canonic.
You want, but just for a moment, for those people who are not really deeply musically illiterate in terms of their terminology, can you want to explain the difference between a C-A-N-N-O-N and what you're talking about, C-A-N-O-N?
Oh, okay. Canon. All right, folks. Canon.
What's the first thing that comes to mind?
All right. So, if you tell a regular layman about a canon, it's not the thing that goes boom. Okay, it's C-A-N-N-O-N. Yeah. Okay. There's no people involved or a big giant iron ball involved.
There was originally in the 1812 overture of Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Real canon involved.
Oh yeah, that's a real canon.
That was a real canon.
Yeah. Now
that had to have been performed outside, you would think, right?
You'd probably have to with something loud as that.
You can set off a cannon without the ball, right? You can make a boom.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Boom, right?
Yeah.
The really cool thing is in the performance for the cannon to go boom, is it really scored very specifically? Because how do you know how long it's going to take the wick to burn down until the cannon goes boom? All right, I'm just being funny. But then what's a canon as we musicians?
All right, a canon. A canon. C-A-N-O-N. Okay. It is a compositional form that utilizes it's imitational counterpoint. Okay. Basically, a canon opens up with a phrase, and then a second voice comes in and imitates that, and they just sort of play around with each other.
Good example is like Bach. For example, if you know the two part of it, ba da 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 dum bum ba da dee, and then the other voice goes ba 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 bum bum ba da. It's almost, if it's really strict, they have to imitate each other.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And
that's one of the two part routines.
Two part inventions.
Yeah, isn't it?
I think, yeah, it's
that's
the
first one.
They're at least related. It's at least related.
I was making sure I'm not quoting a few.
But the most famous ones come out of the Goldberg variations.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, if you want to look at canons, look at the Goldberg variations, because he's got canon by the unison, in which both the subject and the answer come in on, use the same notes. Okay.
So canon exercises are based upon different intervals.
Yes.
You go from C to C, you have second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, so forth. You have a canon at the second, very rarely though. Let's say canon at the third, canon at the fifth, canon at the sixth.
Yeah.
So that means that the second voice comes in at an intervallic distance from the original one.
Yeah.
But it has to be able to do the same stuff. The trick is probably like creating a crossword puzzle.
Yeah.
To get all these different words to line up so they can interact with each other. Even though the music is not conceived of in terms of vertical harmony, the notes as they come together have to not be terribly dissonant.
Yeah.
So it takes a heck of a lot of thinking.
And that's Bach.
Yeah. And I mean, we all had to do that, right? In school, right? Canon exercise.
Yeah.
Those little boogers are tough.
Yeah, those are tough. Those are tough. I mean, that's for most of the work.
So you have the CD that Lambert Orkis made?
I do not have the CD. I do not have the CD. It's the recordings I listened to was on YouTube, so you could find it on YouTube. Okay. But it's not.
If that's the case, then I'll put the address up for you.
Yeah. But anyways, let's move on to the third movement, toccata. Toccata, in the form of an etude.
This is the third section of the first movement, though.
This is the third movement of part 1. So, anyways.
Can I ask a question to say something?
Sure.
So, I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Well, let me say what I was going to say from observation. This is really well crafted, very careful work. I think by a master composer. You know, I used to put a lot of time.
Oh yeah.
Ink, probably a lot of erasure. I mean, or pencil and erasure originally. I see. So it's not strictly serial in a full tone row, but it does look sometimes like it could be like set theory, which is like a certain number of notes, which are then used in a similar fashion.
Yeah. Because
he doesn't use a full 12 notes even at the beginning. Nope. And I don't see that happening anywhere really, but I remember, I think it was called set theory. Am I right about it? It's been a while since I was doctoral programming that stuff, but and I played, serial music at times and things, but I wouldn't say I have a profound knowledge of that music because I haven't played as much of it. But it does seem manipulated in a way that he has certain notes that do seem to repeat themselves. The rhythm also plays a role. There's imitation of things. Like you said, in cases there's inversion of it. One would be interested to look and see if there's any kind of retrograde stuff, which means he takes those notes and then uses them backwards.
Yeah.
I think there's Bach in this.
Oh yeah.
Influence. And then I'd also say there's Schoenberg influence. Led to think Stravinsky in some ways, in the way that it's laid out.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to me that, and plus the fact that he's using specific structural types. I don't think it's, I don't mean this as a criticism, because it's not. It's going to require a bit of a big hand because he's using minor sevenths and even major ninths, octaves, leaping around the place. And as I said, and it's not like percussion, it's not a piano piece so much as it's, well, conceived for the piano.
Yeah.
But really, I was thinking, when you look at certain passages, it reminds me of some of the writing in Mahler. This is why Mahler you can't really bring Mahler to the piano, the big works.
Yeah. Because
it's not conceived that way, and there's too much here and there and this kind of thing. No, I think this is more integrated in that way, but I think the guy just simply shows he knows his history.
Yes.
He knows his craft really well. And the virtuosity is on many, many levels. It's not just one problem. Everything is a challenge,
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
And good for you for trying to look at it.
Yeah.
You going to perform on your recital?
Oh, I.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Be honest.
All right. I'll be honest with you, folks. I'm not sure when he says that he likes to meet his audiences. He's willing to meet his audiences halfway.
Can I say something about that?
Sure.
This is a guy who was a composing professor.
Yeah.
At the University of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
That's around Pittsburgh somewhere, right?
Yeah.
His audience was relatively sophisticated.
Probably.
Pittsburgh Symphony and the opera there. They're both extraordinary institutions.
Yeah.
So the people are accustomed to some, good music, excellent music making, and some highbrow stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, and he was teaching at the University of Pennsylvania, and one of the most brilliant pianists I ever personally knew, a colleague of mine, Jeffrey Sykes, Sykes. He got master's degree in composition, in theory and piano. I think it was something like that, 2 degrees, before he came and did his doctorate with Howard at Wisconsin. Jeffrey I think he's a genius. He's just brilliant, And I mean, I think if you're going to play a piece like this, your first work is to go in before you because this is not a kind of work I think there's obviously, and I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah.
But there's going to be sonorous things to appreciate, and emotional things. I'm sure that could be that will come up through playing it. But I don't think this is the kind of piece you just sit down and start playing. Maybe you did that, but I think that we'd be serious about it. You've got to spend quite a bit of time studying it, not so much theoretically, but understand all of the intricate details of the architecture and the building of the thing in order to really master it and bring it off. And I think in doing that, it might make it easier. And it reminded me of when I was studying Professor Wynn years ago, when I first started to play from the Prelude and Fugues. Preludes weren't so bad.
No,
Fugues was the whole thing. And so he had me do this, and I actually got into it. He said, "This will be good practice for you." He said, "Write the 3 ones out as for string trio, and write the 4 ones out for string quartet. And get used to writing this stuff down and everything." And I learned how to write in the alto clef, tenor clef, and the cello, and everything. And I just simply wrote these things out. And as I wrote them out, note by note, you get. It's like the difference when you drive through a neighborhood and you walk through a neighborhood.
Yeah.
What do you see from the car, and what do you see on foot? And it was a really good exercise Professor gave me. I mean, and I've had some other people suggest this, especially when you have music like this. Write the first page or some of the music, the harder part. Write it yourself. Recopy it and put it on paper.
Would I play this piece? I might. I just might be tempted to try it. Give me about 8 years, perhaps. I don't know. But I have nothing more to say about this because it's a brilliant work. By the way, the reason, if you want to figure out what's going on in my head about why I bought this piece, you see this blue dot?
It was cheap.
Yes, it was. I think it was 75% off or something.
Wow.
That's why I picked it up. And I would imagine I picked it up over at Stanton's, is my guess.
So what was 75% off?
I don't know. Originally, $17.95.
Wow.
It was originally $17.95.
For $3.
So something like perhaps.
See, for me, nothing against Mr. Wernick or anything like that. I probably would have had to be assigned the piece or be required to perform it. No offense. But the only way I would buy it is if it were 75 cents.
Well, okay, folks. Look, all right. Me being a musician, I wanted to rescue the piece.
He's also, yes, that's part of it. We're really both, what do we call it? Archivists or collectors,
yeah.
Like preservationists.
Oh, that's a good one. Preservationists.
We're preservationists.
Yes, absolutely. I did look at the work while I was at the store. I did look at it, and I thought, it's definitely. The guy spent that much time and thought into seeing what I saw in there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, definitely deserves saving.
We'll look at it a little bit. I'll put some pictures and things up. I'll put up the recording on YouTube, the address for Lambert Orkis. I think just the fact that he knows Lambert Orkis somehow and wrote it specifically for him, and it doesn't say to Lambert Orkis, it says to Lambert.
Yes.
First name dedication.
Yeah. It also says what else? Commissioned by and composed for Lambert Orkis.
Oh, he asked for it.
Oh yeah, it says commissioned by.
So they have great respect for each other.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, Maestro Orkis, you're a true hero. I mean, gosh, I and you know what? That says something about what pianists needs to be more of these days. I mean, we have composers that are dying off, you know, unknown. Most of them probably unknown. You know, pianists, or even all musicians, vocalists, string players, wind players, whoever, percussionists, if you're percussionists. We need to help out our composers.
When I was in Wisconsin,
you know, it's sad.
That's about, because of collaborative stuff, that's where I started to play really contemporary things for people because they asked. And I was really good, I'm a very quick reader.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's pretty much standard stuff, sometimes the professors, like in voice lessons, they put something on the page and I play it. Have you played this for anybody before? No, it's the first time. You just go, oh, wow. So I can get stuff. But now something like this, it takes work.
Oh, yeah.
But I did, because of my wife starting her master's, nearly when mine was done. We ended up being a master for 6 years for each of us to get our masters. I did it mine in 2, hers in 2, but spent a little more time. But I made myself available to play new music by the composers there, and I played for some of the composition students' recitals, and met some really cool people. There's a friend of mine. Well, I wouldn't say we're friends because we're colleagues. It's not that he's not a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy, but we don't know each other that well.
Yeah.
He moved eventually from LA, and he and his wife now live in Spain. Yeah. But Elliot Goldkind is somebody who comes to mind. Some really great stuff that he wrote, and I have some of these things. I have some pieces that were given to me by composers, and I recorded them for them, so they got them recorded. And it's worth it, and it's interesting. It's really nice to see the composer. They're so happy when they finally get to really truly hear their piece come to life. You know? Yeah. Think about Schubert, you know, all that music that he wrote. They're really great works, like the Great Ninth Symphony. You never heard that. Yeah. Maybe up here. Oh, yeah. But never for real. And it wasn't performed until about a quarter century after he was dead. Yeah. So sadly. Yeah. Or even
Puccini, never having heard Turandot. Puccini.
Or just before he died. Finished it. Didn't finish it.
He did finish it. He had a friend finish it for him. So it was, well, he had at least sketches for what it was supposed to look like, so he was able to score it. Right. But okay, well, folks, that's Richard Wernick. Anyways,
as part of that iceberg.
Is part of that iceberg.
I think it probably deserves to be at least somewhere in the middle, you know. Yeah. Of that iceberg, which is scratching pieces.
Oh yeah.
Things off of it.
Oh yeah.
Because it's well crafted stuff.
Oh yeah, it really is.
It shows. I mean, if you know music, you can see so many influences there. Not that he's just copying it, but he's taking that stuff into himself and then integrates it into something original that he's done.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Boy, I sure like to know what the thought processes were like after having composed that. Okay, so folks, thus ends PSI, All Pieces Considered. Did you enjoy that, boys?
Great time! Didn't understand anything I wanted to know.
That's okay. I wasn't sure if I understood anything either.
We love you, come on.
Oh, I love you too, guys. Oh, dear. So, anyways, I've been going through some rather taxing experiences for the last 2 months, I guess I could say. And I've been doing quite a bit of soul searching.
Family stuff, huh?
Mostly family stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, just a bunch of other things. I mean, nothing to worry about. I mean, it's, you know, I'll still be around. You know, I'm still a pianist. I'll still be on PSI. There's so much to discuss and so much music and recordings to listen to. And, But I'm sure everybody had to do the same thing. Lots of people. And for you youngsters out there, if you're not there yet, you will. You will. Guarantee it. Which is why
Another one.
introduce another segment.
There we go.
PSI. Get ready for this. We haven't done this in a while.
Uh-oh.
PSI at the movie.
Can we get to our hats in this one?
Oh, hats. Yes.
So what did you think about that episode with Dimitri?
I thought it was wonderful. I'm always like a visit from Dimitri.
Yeah.
He's
It was
well
really
spoken.
helpful.
He's very well spoken.
Somehow, the poor guy had to come all the way from across the world.
Yeah.
Only far as Cyprus, but that's still like 8,000 miles.
Yeah. Well, he's a very likable individual.
He knows his stuff. I
Very
mean,
likable.
lives out there in that house in Novosibirsk with
Yeah.
grandma's piano in his library.
Yeah.
But he knows about contemporary stuff because, and of course the problem was because the microphone was losing all of its charge. But yeah, Dimitri helped figure that out.
You know who he
So-
reminds me of? He reminds me of that the character Zarathustra.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I mean, think about it. He's all by himself out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's, philosophizing, by himself, and contemplating the meaning of life and all that.
I'm thinking
And
that
so-
he looks like
Yeah.
that magical dwarf guy with the magic wand in either the Bullwinkle and Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons or the boy with the dog.
I was thinking about Mr. Wizard from Tudor the Turtle.
I don't know that at all.
You don't know that one?
No, I don't know.
Always, I tell you,
Just the boy, Mr. Peabody.
Mr. Peabody.
What's his name? Mr. Peabody.
Sherman.
Sherman and Mr. Peabody. Anybody remember those guys? I'll
Yeah.
put their picture up. Or Rocky and Bullwinkle. But then they have this fractured fairy tales. Remember Fractured Fairy Tales?
Yes, I do.
And he was the guy with the hat,
Yeah.
big hat, right?
Yeah.
Then his magic wand kind of thing. I always thought Dimitri looked kind of like him.
I still think in lots of ways, he's. I thought you were talking about Tudor the Turtle,
I'll look
who was
it up.
visiting Mr. Wizard.
I don't
He
know.
has, at the end, he learns his lesson.
Never heard of
He says, always I tell you, Tudor. He says, be what you is, not what you is not. Folks that do this are the happiest one.
I'll see if I can find that.
Yeah, try to find that out. It's kind of cute.
Turtle the Tutor?
Tudor the Turtle.
Tutor.
Yeah, Tudor the Turtle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is like tutor like OOT or TUTOR?
I don't know. It could be a play on words.
Oh.
TOO.
And Mr. Wizard.
And Mr.
Yeah,
Wizard.
but Dimitri's kind of like a Merlin character, right?
He's a bit of an early
He's
character,
a-
but on a more dignified note, I would say Zarathustra.
Okay. We stayed in touch, so when I came back here, and so, we've got his nephew, Igor is Dimitri's nephew, and Miss Laura is teaching him. She's teaching both the boys.
Yep.
Of course, Grobu is an advanced being. He can like levitate things and do stuff.
Probably.
But in terms of his social skills and stuff, he's pretty.
Yeah.
He's a very smart little guy, but in terms of basic things, and he doesn't speak English that well yet.
Oh.
He doesn't actually talk that much. Igor's the one that talks,
Talks most of the time.
and he's the one that got Tuki.
Tuki.
He brought him in. Wanted it bad.
Cool.
So.
I like it.
Anyway,
So, anyways, what is our movie, folks?
Oh, yeah, the movie,
We have to
that's
welcome our viewers to PSI at the movies.
yeah,
So,
cool.
okay, so we were a little slow on that part. But anyways,
About the movies?
yeah, getting there.
Oh,
Welcoming our viewers
Too
to
much about
the
the
segment.
movie.
So, anyways, the movie I brought forth to you, some of you may already know, is called Greenbook.
I don't know.
You don't know this? Well, let me show it to the viewers first. I'll let you have at it here. Greenbook stars Viggo Mortensen and
Oh, my.
one Marshala Ali.
Oh, I know that guy.
Marshala Ali.
Yeah. He was a really interesting actor. He was in that Washington politics thing that Kevin Spacey did, where he eventually becomes a president. He's the majority leader in the House of Representatives. I can't think of what it's called now. I'll look it up maybe while you're talking about it. Marshall Ali's a great actor.
Ali. So,
Viggo Mortensen. Oh, I remember what this is about.
you do.
This is the opposite of Driving Miss Daisy.
Yes. Greenbook.
Oh.
Movie, 2018, comedy/drama.
Yeah.
Peter Farrelly, director, co-writer, co-producer. Nick Vallelonga and Brian Hayes Curry, co-producers as well as writers. Jim Burke, another producer. Sean Porter, the cinematographer. They did some work on this thing. Okay, so Greenbook. It stars Viggo Mortensen, who plays one Tony Lip, and Marshall Ali plays a Dr. Don Shirley. Linda Cardellini plays Dolores. He is the wife of Tony Lip. Anyways, Dr. Don Shirley, pianist.
Yeah.
Born 1927, died 2018.
That's a real story?
It's a real story.
I didn't know it was based on a real story.
Oh, yeah. It's
Are you
based on
going to tell them what the Green Book meant?
All right, the Green Book. All right.
Because I know about that.
You know about the Green
Because
Book?
I'm a huge Route 66 fan.
Yeah.
But go ahead and tell them what the Green Book was
Okay,
about.
the Green Book. All right, I'll read the back here. It says, Green Book. Green Book, a film inspired by a true friendship that transcended race, class, and the 1962 Mason-Dixon line. When Tony Lip, a bouncer from an Italian-American neighborhood in the Bronx, is hired to drive Dr. Don Shirley, a world-class black pianist, on a concert tour from Manhattan to the Deep South, they must rely on the Green Book to guide them to the few establishments that were then safe for African Americans. Confronted with racism, danger, as well as unexpected humanity and humor, they are forced to set aside differences to survive and thrive on the journey of a lifetime.
Can I say something super quick?
Sure.
I will put the guy's name up. There was a particular man, black man, who began the Green Book through his own travels with his wife or with his family. I'm not sure, but the problem. Okay, wow, the world. I think MTV did a great deal to change racial attitudes from the 80s, set definitely by the 90s. I mean, Michael Jackson and his successes, I think really also changed a lot of things. 70s, but definitely from the 60s back. So, I mean, you know, for you people that might see us outside of the U.S. and don't know our history that well, America had slavery for 200 or 300 years. I don't know, 3, but I don't know in the Deep South way back in the late 1600s, early 70s. But anyway, from some period in the early 18th century through, technically when Abraham Lincoln passed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, in the middle of the Civil War, and then by 1865, slavery was ended, and black people were slaves. But then the South enacted laws which were called Jim Crow laws for basically another century, which really prevented black people from having equal rights, equal access, and everything else, especially in what they called the Mason-Dixon line, which had been the area in the kind of running to the middle or the upper middle of the United States and south or north, which was the same line which was used to delineate between the Union forces of Abraham Lincoln and the Confederate separate government. This is like our War of the Roses that the English had centuries before. But in the South, it was a bad time. Well, one might say for a lot of people, but especially for black people. Who was from way back, trying to think, the black singer, the lady who died? She's super famous. One of the earliest and famous jazz. Billie Holiday. Billie Holiday. Many of you know and love her singing her music. Woman died prematurely because I don't remember. I'll put it up on the details, but she had some kind of an urgent medical need, in the city where she'd been singing. And she just sang for a big, wealthy, well-to-do white audience and everything. But then she didn't feel good, and they tried to take her to a white hospital, and they wouldn't receive her because it was only for white people.
Yeah.
And eventually, by the time they found a hospital or a clinic or whatever where they could take her, she died from complications of the illness. I don't know if it was because they didn't have sufficient facilities to deal with it or what, but Billie Holiday died because of racism, period. You know?
Didn't they make a movie?
Yeah.
Was it Lady Sing the Blues?
I think so, yeah.
It stars Diana Ross and Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
I think that's the movie. I mean, you could correct me if I'm wrong.
So, then the really cruel thing is that really great black musicians at the time would take their bands and they'd travel around in the South. And most of their audiences would be white people. Love the music and everything. They got paid, decent for it and everything. But after the show was over, there was often nowhere to go to eat. Almost for sure, next to no place to stay overnight. So the guys had to sleep on the bus, or sometimes in some bigger places, there were places that would let black people stay there and such. And this went on, folks, well into the late 60s, early 70s. And this is why Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all that stuff was so big at that time. Yeah. But I'll shut up after this. The cool thing about the Greenbook is that there was a lot of black people that wanted, they had good jobs and they wanted to travel, they wanted to see things. The South was a bit dangerous, but what this guy did on his own, because I think for some reason his work took him on the road a lot. I don't know if he was a salesman or what he did, but he was on the road.
Oh, the other guy?
The Greenbook.
Oh, the Greenbook. Oh.
So basically what he did is he started to notate the names and addresses of places in all of his visits which accepted black people for overnights, or they would serve black people at their restaurants, or in many cases they're only black businesses. But he finally published that, and historically it was in many, many reprints or new editions and stuff for quite some time. Now it's not necessary. It hasn't been for some time. But you can still find copies of them, like on eBay or something, because they're historic documents. But it was basically a travel book for black people to safely travel in parts of the States where it's really tricky to get around. So anyway, I love the whole history of it. And this movie, I never saw it, but it sounds really cool.
Oh, it's a true story.
I did not know.
True story.
And this is a beautiful Bronx Italian guy.
It's a bouncer.
Showing the arms on Viggo Mortensen's he must have beefed up for the role.
Yeah, he had to. This is the cover, Greenbook.
So basically, he's the muscle, white muscle.
Well, as the story has
black guys safe.
The story has it. You see, he works as a bouncer at some restaurant bar, and they were closing the restaurant bar for renovation, so he would be out of work for a while. Okay, and so he had to find other jobs to keep his family afloat, and so he applied for a job as a chauffeur. Which in this movie says it's a 6-month tour. Some states here in the country, but in actuality, the tour actually lasted in real life. Historically, it lasted 1.5 years.
Really? Did he get extra concerts or?
No, it was just how long it took.
Wow.
It took long, so it actually lasted a whole 1.5 years. But they got to go home and visit a little bit.
Oh, they went back and forth.
Yeah, so then they had to continue the tour, of course. So, but anyways, the Greenbook was handed to Dr. Don Shirley, historically by Robert Kennedy.
Really?
The Robert Kennedy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's and he was instrumental in getting this man out in the open to perform.
Huh.
Dr. Don Shirley was an aspiring concert pianist in his day. The only known performance where he was able to fulfill that dream was having performed the Tchaikovsky concerto, believe it or not, the Boston Pops.
Wow.
After that, he did a few small recitals and concerts here and there. He has played some Chopin.
Are they recorded?
I would imagine there are some recordings.
Don Shirley, it is Shirley spelled Ley?
Don Shirley, Yeah, Shirley.
Okay.
Dr. Don
I'll see if I
Shirley.
can find anything and put the address up.
On YouTube, there's a performance of him doing. He's doing an improvisation on the song "De Te Moi" from South Pacific.
Oh.
And so it's this, it's a simple children's song. I don't know if you.
But the guy can play.
Oh yeah, the guy really can play.
Yeah.
So that was the real Dr. Don Shirley. And
Did he ever he was never a professor?
He was never a professor. He.
Where did you live?
He lived in. Actually, he lived at Carnegie Hall. They used to have apartments.
Oh.
Carnegie Hall used to have apartments. Did you know that? I didn't know that until I started reading some stuff on it. And apparently, somewhere in the 2000 or 1990s or somewhere, as recently as 1990, they did away with the apartments to enlarge the performing apparatus of the Carnegie Hall. So, anyways,
so he's New York trained, presumably, and all that. I'll look it up.
Look it up.
I'll find a little bio stuff and put it up on the page.
Just as important, who does the playing in the movie?
Oh, there you go.
The composer and pianist on the soundtrack of this movie is one Chris Bowers. K-R-I-S. Chris Bowers. B-O-W-E-R-S. Is a famous jazz pianist.
Yeah, I thought I'd know the name.
You've heard the name?
I think so, yeah.
I never heard the name until I started doing study on this, looking up the background behind this movie. But Chris Bowers.
This is going to have me doing some research, but interesting.
But he is a competitor of the American piano competition. I didn't know there was such a thing, but apparently they have a competition called the American Piano Competition. Wow. They have several, jazz pianists of all types, and I don't know if they ever have any other genre types of pianists, but from what I saw, it was mostly jazz pianists. And he truly was amazing. He was an amazing competitor. Oh. He did things on the piano where, the strings were dampened, and he'd hold the pedal down and pluck the strings.
George Crummy kind of stuff?
Well, but a little bit more,
cool.
Tonal. It was more cool the way he did it. So, but he was quite the,
So you don't hear classical music in here?
Yes, you do. You hear some classical music in it. There's one scene where you'll hear, an abridged version of the Winter Wind Etude.
Whoa.
So the Winter Wind Etude's in it.
Wow.
So the guy plays. The guy plays. Winter Wind Etude. Doesn't get better than that, folks.
Rubinstein wouldn't record the etudes.
Yeah.
But this guy did it for a movie.
This guy did it for a movie. So, but yeah, anyways.
Some people have more sense than
that. No, no kidding. So, and others just has a suicide or death wish. So, but anyways, I didn't get to see the movie, but I got to see clips of the movie on YouTube. Oh. Simply because...
Oh, it's Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's Blu-ray.
You don't have a Blu-ray player?
Well, I sort of do, but I don't. We have a PlayStation 4, which does play Blu-ray, but I can't get it. I can't get access to it because you need a special code for the thing, and the only person that put the code in it was my grandson. And
he doesn't know.
He doesn't remember what it was.
You can't call the company and see if you could create a new one?
Well, we could try. We could probably, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, from what I remember about PlayStation 4, they ask for a lot of personal information.
Oh.
Yeah. And so I'm sort of reluctant about that.
Nowadays, you might be able to find a used Blu-ray player for not much money.
Yeah.
I mean, even the new ones aren't too bad now. Yeah, right there.
Maybe sometime.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So, but anyways, from what I saw in the previews, or some even the film clips, it's really a truly amazing film.
Yeah. Two great actors.
Yeah, two wonderful.
Now, my understanding, too, is that the white guy, originally, at least the way it's played out in the film, pretty racist to start with.
Oh, yeah.
Italian guy from the Bronx.
But they become very good friends.
Yeah, well, they really mutual admiration.
Oh, yeah. And there's some very touching moments in there. Wonderful moments. I have to And, and you know, I don't know, maybe. Well, okay, I'll be honest with you. I really did feel a lot of sympathy for this poor fella. I really did.
Black guy?
Oh yeah. He wanted to be a concert pianist. He wanted to be. That's all he wanted to do was play the piano. And, you know, and I would imagine back then they just didn't give him a chance.
Marian Anderson wanted to be an opera singer.
Yeah.
She's the one that broke the mold. And Elizabeth, not Elizabeth, Eleanor Roosevelt is the one that kind of helped set it all up for her. She was supposed to sing at the Daughters of the American Revolution, I think somewhere, probably in Washington, or Washington, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But that's a very southern organization that at that time would have been very racist.
Yeah.
And they didn't let black people in and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so she ends up doing this famous concert outdoors at the Lincoln Memorial. Very interesting, at the Lincoln Memorial.
Yeah.
There's videos of that. I'll put a YouTube up of her singing. Thereafter, she was taken in, more so in the North, but it did give her openings to things. And because of her, then all of a sudden, people like Leontine Price, made a monster name for herself at the Metropolitan Opera.
Oh yeah.
You know, Samuel Barber wrote Vanessa for her.
Yeah,
right?
Vanessa and whatever those. Did he compose
The
Hermit
songs,
songs?
the Hermit songs. He wrote this for her.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but other than Dr. Don Shirley, I have to mention others. I did not know this after doing some research on this, but Nina Simone wanted to be a classical concert pianist.
There's recordings of her playing Bach.
Yeah. Is there?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So Nina Simone was another one.
She had she's dead now, right?
Yeah, she's dead.
But there was an anniversary of some sort recently, because just in the last few months I heard something on NPR radio when I was driving around. And I didn't know this, but they talked about her. The woman was a serious piano. I mean, even in her jazz playing. Yeah. Serious piano player, man. Yeah. And she was totally ready to do the classical circuit, to go to school and everything, but she faced all of this crap. Yeah. Wouldn't let her do it. But the woman still got herself a career. Yeah. And she's historically remembered.
Oh yeah.
Very
well remembered. So. But anyways, if you ever get a chance, I urge you. I mean, there's some. I mean, like I said, it's drama / comedy. I mean, there's some comedic moments in there when they first meet, and it's quite entertaining. So since then,
do you know at all when he got to stay overnight somewhere as a black man? Yeah. Where did Vito stay? Did he stay in the same place, or did he go to
I would imagine they stayed in the same place. Yeah. And, well, I don't want to put any more spoilers in this as much as I've already had. Since then, we've had, let's see, who we had? Andre Watts.
I saw him play live. I saw him do the Rachmaninoff Second with the Dayton Philharmonic. Yeah. Wow, he was tall. He had fingers. Yeah. And he had such ease the way he played. Oh, it was just.
Oh, of course.
He had a little memory slip in the beginning of the third movement. He covered it well. As my teacher said, swim to shore. He swam really fast.
So we've had Andre Watts, Awadajan Pratt.
Yes, I know the name.
Yeah.
I don't know his playing.
You don't know his playing? Well, he's now down in, I think he's in University of Cincinnati now.
Really?
Yeah. Awadajan Pratt. Tall pianist, very tall. And even more recently, Clayton Stevenson. If you're out there, kudos to you, pal. Clayton Stevenson was a finalist in the Van Cliburn competition, the one that Yoon Chan Lim won first place in. So he had to compete with the likes of Yoon Chan Lim.
You remember years ago there was a Cincinnati Bengals football player. Yeah. Who was a very adept pianist. And he played the Gershwin Rhapsody in Blue with the Cincinnati Pops. Ooh. I never heard it. And I don't remember the guy's name, but I was really quite struck by it.
I think I might know who you're talking about. Oh, gosh.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up.
And there's another pianist I mentioned who was a colleague of mine. Yeah. Charles Floyd. He played piano in Natalie Cole's band. Whoa. And he took a break he was on the road for a number of years with her. And then he took a break and he came to Madison. Started a doctorate. I don't think he ended up finishing it with Howard. But wow, he was really an adept pianist. Howard gave him some, doctorate kind of pieces. I remember the first thing he was assigned was the last B flat sonata. And he had been, playing a lot of jazz and stuff. So he had great fingers. And what was wonderful about the Mozart, sometimes you hear this kind of push, but his more had a kind of light-footedness to it. It was very playful and stuff. Oh, and he had such ease with what he played, and he memorized things very quickly.
Wow.
Big fingers, fingers, my God. And he was handsome and very talented and affable guy. But I think he basically, he got kind of burned out on the road.
Yeah.
And he did Madison for maybe no more than 2 years. And then he decided, that's enough. And he went back.
Wow.
Right back into the world.
Wow.
Charles Floyd.
Charles Floyd.
I don't know whatever happened to him. I'll look him up and see if there's any information.
That pianist you mentioned, the football player?
Yeah.
Was it William Tritt?
Could have been.
Could have been William Tritt.
Yeah, I'll look him up.
Yeah, look him up and find out.
This is a few years ago. It was a few years ago.
Yeah.
I think not even in the 21st century, but farther back. But I just stunned because, football player who plays that well.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, the Rhapsody of Blue is not this sonata.
Yeah.
But it's still tough enough,
Yeah.
It's not the Concerto in F, but it's still got its moments.
Oh yeah, it has its. It does. So, anyways, this ends PSI at the movies.
Sweet. Did you like it?
Yeah, I want to see that movie. I want to watch it.
Well, good. Well, I don't know if it's for you guys.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if it's for you guys. What is it? Is it PG or? Well, maybe PG-13. There's some language in there.
Well, just so long as you don't go repeating that stuff, especially with Aunt Laura.
Oh, no, you do not that lot. She's scary sometimes.
She's scary? Holy moly.
She's very strict.
Yeah. So, anyways.
But we love it a lot.
Oh, good. As you should.
Good save.
So, all right. Anyways, so what else do we have here?
I did my show with Dimitri.
You did?
I did all that Jabberjaw stuff over the books.
All right. Well, let's go into the next segment then.
Okay. What's this one?
All right. Once again, we'll introduce PSI, High Plains Thrifter.
Oh, boy, we can do our hats for this one. Do our hats. I want to wear hats.
You got a hat on too.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Yeah, we're all wearing hats. Even
Hats
Mr.
today.
Faulkner over here. They love this one because they get to wear hats.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Okay, so folks, welcome to PSI, High Plains Thrifter. And of course, I brought in some neat stuff. What are we listening to this week? Well, I don't know if I brought this one in earlier or not, but I had this in my car and I've been listening to it lately. Of course, these are from the archives. This is Walter Gieseking.
Ooh, love the boy.
Walter Gieseking.
Wow.
These are World War II performances recorded by German radio.
Oh, this is the Brahms Concerto.
No,
Or Beethoven.
including the celebrated 1944 stereo recording of the Emperor Concerto.
Oh, the Emperor, yeah.
Yes, and the Schumann Concerto,
Ooh.
conducted by Wilhelm Furtwängler.
Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
the Emperor was conducted by Arthur Roeder, R-O-T-H-E-R.
Yeah.
Arthur Roeder.
See if I find a picture of it.
Okay, so let's see if you can. But here it is.
Wow.
This was released on the Music and Arts recording label. That's him, the man. See, it looks like that on the back. See, comes with program notes and everything.
Wow.
So,
Lisa King is also one of my favorite pianists.
yes.
His studio recordings of the works of Debussy, especially like those Royers, put you on the edge of your seat. It's amazing playing. The guy was an incredible virtuoso. Then I've got his complete Bach, a lot of which was done for live radio after the war, and when he was a busy teacher and everything. And his students who turned for him said that he basically just, oh, let's do this today. And he brought in a book of Bach, crack it open, and he'd start playing faultlessly, and the student would turn the pages for him.
Jeez.
The guy was incredible. Now, the thing I learned about him when I researched him a bit, he was very patriotic German and a member of the Nazi Party.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he joined up at some point. You know, in some cases, you never know. I mean, some of them, they did it just to survive and have a career. Some of them didn't. Furtwängler was not a member, and neither was Knappelsbusch. They still got in trouble for staying in Germany, being there. But I think in many cases, like, I mean, let's put it this way, and I'm only speaking figuratively, all right? What if something happened in America where things got pretty nasty, pretty radical? A lot of people can't afford to leave. Billionaires could. But this is your country, this is your language, this is your culture, this is where all your family lives, all your friends, your teachers, and everything else. Would you try to wait it out and thinking, oh, you know, nothing lasts forever, and just stay here and do your work and, you know, survive and maybe do better than survive? Or would you turn yourself into an exile and leave? Now, in some cases, certain people had to. Arnold Schoenberg, for example. If he hadn't, God knows. Einstein hadn't been, I'm gone. You know, same kind of thing. So, Lisa King was able to stay. And there are some incredible recordings. I know this Emperor recording. It's really quite good.
This one?
Yeah.
Wow. Have you heard the Schumann?
I don't know the Schumann.
Well, I'll leave it here for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
But I got to listen to the Emperor. Very heroic. Very regal. He's, to say the least, I mean, the heroic was the first word that came to my mind. Very heroic. I don't know any words about it. Since you remember?
It's a great performance of the Emperor Concerto. And I think, I don't think it would even insult my Jewish musician friends. Furtwängler, one of the great musicians of all time, conducting an orchestra which has its roots in an incredibly rich tradition. And it's unfortunate that one might say the ultimate fruition of, and maybe in some cases the achievement of modern German culture, happened under the auspices of such a terrible regime, the Nazis. Because interestingly, Berlin, we talked about this in a show way back when. At one time, the later 19th and the early part of the 20th century, going into the Nazi period, some of the most important, progressive, and modern ideas and movements, the world center for those things was in Berlin. There were various kinds of things going on which the whole world was exploring. And the Germans were considered leaders in a lot of those things. And then the Nazis came to power. And unfortunately then, with the fall of Germany, at the end of the war, Nazis are gone. Soviet Union takes over half of Europe. West Germany has to build itself back up. There's still great things. And some of those artists survived. They had to be denazified for a period. But there's something, if you can put the Nazi crap aside and just hear the performance based upon this stupendous pianist musician and this amazing orchestra, and everybody would nowadays say the Berlin Philharmonic is a unique orchestra in the world, and it's climbed back up to even some people think as good or better than the Karajan years in some cases, and especially now with Russian Jewish guy, the director. I can't think of his name. I'll put it up because I forgot it. And what I hear from people who play with that orchestra, they're like, it's amazing because each one of them is like a virtuoso in their own right, but they play together as though they're making chamber music as an orchestra. It's an amazing animal. And then you have one of the greatest and most respected conductors in modern history, Wilhelm Furtwängler, doing the Beethoven Emperor. I mean, you can't get much better than that. I know a lot of other performances I like.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a Schnabel performance, which is great. There's Arthur Rubinstein more than once.
That's the one.
And there's so many other people that played it. Ben Clyburn played the Emperor quite a few times. But this historically is just so special, I think, because of all the forces that are gathered at that time. It just all came apart eventually. Modern Germany is a very different place than even Nazi and pre-Nazi Germany was. It's a totally different world now.
Well, folks, this is what I've been listening to for the last couple of weeks. This one.
Good for you.
So, anyways, it's been an hour and a half.
We can go through your other one.
You sure?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay. Well, the other half,
It's
my
because, see,
traveling music.
I add things because I talk so much. But you guys can really see that now from 01 SE1. Dimitri even said something about that at the end of the show. You can talk an awful lot.
All right.
I'm so passionate about it. I just love all this stuff.
Okay, the other movie, or the other DVD from the archives. This is a London CD release. London. Remember London?
I remember London.
Yeah. This is a CD of or a few Mendelssohn Song Without Words performed by Andras Schiff.
Really?
Yes.
Wow,
Andras
how
Schiff.
different.
Yes. And believe me, when I tell you, his temperament, his technique is absolutely ideal for this.
Wow.
If you expect sort of a Rubinstein or a Guillemard and a bias approach, this is not that. Okay, Rubinstein, he has that melody that sings out. It's right out in the front. Andras Schiff is not like that. Even though the melody is important, he knows that there's other elements in the music, the accompaniment in itself, that has to play a supporting role to the melody. So if you're listening to something like, Mendelssohn's Spinning Song, have you ever heard Rubinstein's recording of that? The melody comes out, bump, 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 and even it comes out really brilliant. This is not brilliant. It's something else. It has sort of this. It's smooth as chocolate, is what it reminds me of. It's like candy. Some of you may not know this, but the titles, Spinning Song, was not Mendelssohn's. That was something that was actually added on by, I don't know whether it was a publisher or something or like that.
Probably.
But believe it or not, what I've learned about this piece, the Spinning Song's not the only title. Did you know that?
No, I think there's other ones.
There's other titles. There's like there's also gosh, what is it called? Bumblebee's Wedding. There's also that title, and
I get it.
And if you listen to the accompaniment, it can sound sort of
like bees,
sort of, but a happy bee, just sort of moving along.
I think it's an Oliver Ditson. Remember the publisher?
Oliver Ditson.
I think it was out of Boston. Anyway, I have several editions of the Songs Without Words of Mendelssohn. And it could be Ditson was English, I'm not sure, but it's an older edition.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because it has all of the titles in it, really nicely done and stuff. But yeah, if you look at the Dover edition, which is a reprint, I don't know, probably called an Arrow, whoever it is, I don't know. No, they're just opus numbers.
Yeah.
You know.
No titles.
Opus collections of it. There's no title.
Yeah. Just like this one. There's no, well, actually there's titles. They're in German though. So we have, instead of spinning song, we have Spinnerlied.
Yeah, the Spinnerlied.
Spinnerlied.
Yeah.
Instead of spring song, we have Frühlingslied.
Frühlingslied, yeah.
How you say it?
Frühlings.
Like
Frühlingslied.
Yes, listen to that German. Holy moly.
You know, Schiff is a very highly respected and honored pianist. And I think given what Elmer said a bit about the playing, I had an experience just recently, and I could not find the same video again on YouTube. I don't know why. I looked, I searched for different possibilities of the title, but I had been, before Dimitri and I did this show, I was watching it before then, and it was famous pianists play on the composer's piano and then a modern piano.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting. There were various people. Ooh, it was good. Ellie Nye, for example, played the first movement of the Hammerklavier on Beethoven's piano. It's fascinating playing. And then she played on a modern piano, you know, from sometimes, you know, decades ago, but still. Yeah. Zoltan Kokšić played Campanella of Liszt on the Liszt piano in his Leipzig museum studio.
Oh, wow.
You know, with the Scottish curtains and everything, that piano in there. It was Bechstein. And then he played on the modern piano. I have to say about Kokšić, amazing technique.
Oh, absolutely. One of the best.
Thoroughly perfect. Oh. I like a string of beautiful pearls. I mean, every note, all the fingers, and an evenness of the lines and things.
Oh, absolutely.
And this is on the old Bechstein, on this piano. And I often found it interesting. I thought the performances on the old pianos was more enlightening than on the modern. Both Horowitz and somebody else played on Scriabin's piano. Yeah. And then they play on the modern piano. Yeah.
I think it was
Mikhail Pletnev plays a Tchaikovsky piece. No, plays Rachmaninoff some prelude or some piece. I forget what it is. I didn't really recognize the piece. But on Rachmaninoff's J. Becker piano from Russia. And they played on the modern piano. And there's something about the sound and maybe clarity in a certain way in some of those older instruments. It's really quite interesting. But anyway, Andras Schiff, it was interesting because he played on, I forget if it was Anton Walter or Graf. I forget what it was. I think that he played Mozart. I think. Yeah. It's something from that period. Mozart through Beethoven, something like that. And I thought, because I sent you a video, right? Yeah, of Malcolm Dillson playing.
Oh, yeah.
The Haydn.
The Haydn, yeah.
I think it's a brilliant performance.
Yeah, it really was.
And the difference with Schiff, though, I figured, because I've studied a lot of performance practice. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. It's not what music was about well into the end of the 19th century and the early 20th century. As Malcolm Dillson said at that summer session, when he was talking to the 19th century specialist guy, he says, it's more all about the phrase and the intention within a phrase, isn't it? The guy said, absolutely. And he was talking about 18th century, this guy's talking about mid-19th century. Yeah. Andras Schiff is a modernist, I would say, because he played the historic instrument in a certain way that was quite regular. Yeah. Very clean. Mm-hmm. But I also thought that for the forte piano aspect of it, like when Dillson plays, the forte piano has incredible dramatic qualities because forte or piano and the articulative clarity of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a forte piano can be a very dynamic and even in some ways more percussive instrument. You can play really hard on it, but it's not overwhelming or ugly. Yeah, but a modern piano, there's that velvety warmth and beautiful singing and all this kind of stuff. Now I know what it was. I think he played Schubert.
Oh,
on a Groff. He was going for, I know what it was. It was very well done, very evenly played. It was the G-flat major impromptu from the first book of Schubert. And he played it on the Groff, then he plays it on a modern piano. Contrary to the other musicians, to my ear, there was next to no change between the performance on the forte piano and the modern piano. Now, I think, having worked with these instruments and really studied and done this stuff, one has to be flexible in terms of what the instrument will do, what it can give you. What he was looking for is this singing sound with a kind of very articulated accompaniment underneath it. My general feeling, I mean, it's interesting to me because of what you said about his kind of like chocolatey kind of performance.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this as a slide or anything, but I find it interesting that he's now Sir.
Yeah.
He's been completely British, and he lives in England and all of that, and he does tend known to specialize a bit on Bach.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
So that's my comments about him. I find him, of course, he's an incredibly adept pianist. He doesn't light my fire so much. I think it's very admirable playing, and it's always interesting and often lovely.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but it's
for me, I would have said aristocratic.
Okay.
There's something aristocratic
all right.
about it.
So there's a certain emotional reticence, and I think he's looking for certain things that are not dramatic or more moments of impactful statements or heightened emotional drama and things like that. That's not what he's about.
Not him. No, it's
So it depends. I mean, this is really great music, and I don't mean to belittle it.
okay.
If you're going to have classical music playing in the restaurant in the background, you'd play Andras Schiff. There's nothing objectionable, and there's nothing that necessarily is going to break your conversation. Wait a minute, I want to hear what he's doing. Oh, that's really interesting. It's not to say that it's not, as I already complimented him.
Yeah.
And I think, come on, he's Andras Schiff. And plenty of people are Andras Schiff,
Yeah.
But he's no Ignaz Friedman.
Oh, no.
Few people are.
Yeah. Put it this way: if you listen to Andras Schiff, it won't be an ordeal.
No.
Okay.
No.
I mean, it's pleasant. You're charmed by it. You'll be enchanted by it, and that's about it.
But it's not to say that his playing is like what you might find on, what was that company where it was all fraudulent stuff and they made tons
Oh, that.
in Austria?
Yeah.
What's that
There's Pilz,
brand called?
Pilz,
Or something?
Alfred Schultz,
Yeah.
Dieter Goldman.
There used to be these CDs you could get that were like $3, $5.
Yeah.
Back in the days when CDs were
I know.
really pricey. And, sometimes the artists, good for them. They're fine, and sometimes it's really nice. But this is not run-of-the-mill budget level playing.
No.
There has to be a certain level just to record it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's more there. And I don't know this particular recordings, but frankly, the repertoire that he chose, I think it may well represent, and how you described it.
Oh, yeah.
Represent what Mendelssohn was.
Yeah.
Because I think, and people, even when they heard him play and so forth, and the way his mind worked, in the book that I'm reading on 19th century performance practice, where he commented himself about playing improvisations in public and things like that. The problem he would get himself into sometimes is he couldn't help but create a canonic or some kind of, lines competing with each other. And then he said, God forbid if I couldn't figure out how to make it keep because he was doing it off the top of his head. And of course, usually probably did fine. But we often think that Mendelssohn is in that romantic period.
Yeah.
But both structurally and stylistically, in so many ways, he's a classicist.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's more close to Mozart than he is to Beethoven.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Beethoven's expansive harmony, perhaps a little bit, and and also he's writing little pieces.
Yep.
So he contributed that idea of the character piece for the 19th century. But he's and when you hear about him, when you look at the music, when you look at how he's always dressed, and he was a wonderful painter, and you look at the quality of his painting, boy, it was totally about refinement and control and detail
Yeah.
and clarity. And it's interesting because he had Mendelssohn had some of his greatest successes in England.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
They loved Mendelssohn.
Oh yeah.
So,
So folks, I hope you enjoyed our program today.
ooh, that's it. Okay.
This was a good one.
Yeah,
I like
thanks for
this.
bringing all that
Oh,
stuff.
sure thing. There's plenty
Mr.
more.
Elmer does all this research and brings it in, and I jimmy it up with my comments.
Yeah, absolutely. The formula works.
Okay.
So, but anyways, if you enjoyed our program today, you enjoyed our company, please comment, like, and subscribe. We're always here for you. We'll be doing some more shows just like this. There's a lot to show you and what we've been reading.
And
what
we
we've
said
been
that
playing,
iceberg
what
is
we've been listening
huge.
to.
And
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
huge. And
Yeah,
our collections are pretty
That's
significant.
pretty significant.
We can
yeah.
go thrifting in our own collections. Which is what
You know,
you did this
That's
time.
basically what I did. This
Yeah.
is where my own.
Just dig up stuff. Recently,
Yeah, with
I
the
was
exception
looking through some things and
Yeah.
accidentally goes, oh my God, I forgot I had this. And I opened it. Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
I got to start thrifting my own stuff. I've really decided recently.
Yeah.
I got way too much to read, way too much to
yeah.
listen to, way too much to play.
Yeah.
I'm going to settle in a little bit more hermit-like, spend my money on some good food ingredients,
Yeah.
and enjoy what I have right here.
Yeah. It might be a good idea.
Sometimes I'm still
But you never
tempted, if
know.
it's cheap enough,
Yeah. You never know.
to pull something into the collection, you know.
Yeah. You never know.
But it's got to be less than $10 now.
Yeah. We did. No. Shoot, your stuff and my stuff put together.
We'd have a museum.
We'd have a whole, basically a full library. So, I mean, what more do you need, really? Okay, so folks, come back and see us again on 0103. We'll be back right again to talk to you and show you and listen for you and read for you.
I'm Mark,
I'm Elmer.
and we are Mark and Elmer's PSI, Piano Scene Investigations. Say bye, guys.
Bye! See you next time!